In 1903, a 13-year-old trombone and cornet player named Robin Byrne was practicing with his band in Heyman's Plumbing Shop in Van Buren, Arkansas. On this night, he decided to look at some of the plumbing equipment. He picked up a length of gas pipe and blew into it, creating an unusual sound. He liked it. With modifications, this became a musical instrument he named a bazooka. Functioning like a crude trombone, the musical bazooka had a narrow range, but this was intentional. Bazoo is an old slang term for a person who likes to talk a lot and has its root in the Dutch word for trumpet. Eventually this youth changed his name to Bob Burns. He studied civil engineering and worked as a peanut farmer, but by 1911 was primarily an entertainer. During World War I, Burns enlisted in the United States Marine Corps and sailed to France with the Marine 11th Regiment. As a sergeant, he became the leader of a military jazz band in Europe. Burns crafted a bazooka from stovepipes and a whiskey funnel, which he sometimes played with the Corps band. Upon returning to America after the war, the Marine Corps Melody 6 Jazz Band, with Burns playing bazooka, were attached to the Marine Corps recruiting station in Manhattan. Burns returned to the stage, often playing the bazooka as part of his act. He used it as a prop when telling hillbilly stories and jokes. Eventually, he got into radio, and by the time World War II began, he and his novel musical instrument were well known. I know what you're thinking. That's a nice little story, but what in the world does this have to do with anything? That's a good question. So let's find the answer. Some things have strange origins. A kid playing around with a piece of plumber's pipe should have no connection with armored tanks decades in the future in the Second World War halfway around the world. But amazingly it does. Some people think that the word originally came from the Bazooka Joe comic strip. However, that comic strip didn't start until the 50s. When crafting the M1 rocket launcher, one of the builders had found a piece of metal tubing from a scrap pile that just happened to pair with the rocket. In May 1942, at Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland, senior officers watched various types of spigot mortars as they were fired against a moving tank, but all of them missed. They also tested the roughly built prototype of the M1, which would be the future bazooka. The sights had been fabricated that morning from a wire coat hanger, bent by a broken nail. The new rocket launcher impressively scored several hits on the moving tank, considering its crude sights. The Chief of Research and Engineering in the Ordnance Department, Major General Gladian M. Barnes, was one of the senior officers present. Barnes was delighted by the performance of the rocket launch system and fired it himself. He stated, "It sure looks like Bob Burns' bazooka." Bob Burns was the popular radio comedian mentioned earlier. Barnes was referencing that strange musical instrument that he fabricated all those years ago as a kid in the plumber's shop in Van Buren, Arkansas. The name stuck and was used for all American, handheld anti-tank weapons in World War II. And that's how we got the name bazooka. Bob Burns later went from radio into movies. The bazooka gave American soldiers the ability to destroy German tanks with a light weapon. There is no doubt that a piece of pipe and a rocket helped the United States win the war against Nazi Germany. As a historical note, the next year, Major General Gladian M. Barnes launched a secret project to create an enormous electronic computer, one of the most advanced in the world at that time. He supervised its development by the researchers at the University of Pennsylvania. Costing over $500,000, it used 17,000 glass vacuum tubes, occupied 1,800 square feet and weighed nearly 27 tons. Barnes pressed the button that started it working at the formal dedication ceremony on February 15, 1946. While it was too late to perform ballistic calculations for World War II, John von Neumann put it to work performing the complex calculations required by the hydrogen bomb. In April 1946, Barnes was chosen as the chairman of a committee appointed to oversee experimental firing of 25 captured German V-2 rockets. For his services during the war, Major General Barnes was awarded the Distinguished Service Medal and the Legion of Merit. Since you made it this far into the video, you probably will like these other 2 videos. Check out my channel and my other videos. Thank you for watching. Comment on what you thought about this video.